Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It is time for V8SCOPS supports. Bit of a one-off occurrence for this one. 5 rounds in, we're coming back to round 2. We weren't originally able to run round 2 at the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours due to scheduling conflicts, but now we're making up the round here tonight. No V8SCOPS race this weekend on Sunday, but we are going racing here for the V8s support category at one of France's premier racetracks. Bringing it to you live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner. Brandon Stuck alongside me in the comms box. Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, producing and bringing you these live pictures. Well, Brandon, turning the clock back a little bit. We should have run this round a month or 2 ago, really, but here we are.
Yeah, certainly. It's interesting to see that we're coming back to round 2, and after 2 epic rounds at some street circuits, and some amazing street circuits, I'll put it that way, we come to a permanent circuit known for hosting the World Superbikes. And yeah, look, I'm looking forward to this one. Don't really know much about this track, so I'm a bit new to this one, but we'll see how it goes tonight.
Absolutely, we will. Well, I look forward to educating you on Magny-Cours, because this is a track that is very close to my heart. I've loved it ever since I first found out about it. It's got a beautiful flowing layout. Opened back in the 1960s, and that little triangle that you see, the basic shape of the top left part of the circuit, is basically where the original layout was. It is expanded, it has been reconfigured, there's been so much history that has happened at this racetrack, including in World War I. This is actually one end of the site of a former US Army base hospital for the First World War, which is very interesting. That's where the Chateau d'Eau corner gets its name, because the water tower from that military base is still there today. 17 turns, fast and flowing, big overtaking opportunities at turns 5, 9, and 14.
Yeah, it looks to be a very interesting circuit. The only memory I have of this is obviously on the old PlayStation 5, but yeah, interesting to see how it goes tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing how the drivers tackle it, especially that last couple of complex corners there, 15 to 17 will be an interesting one. That is a very, very tight chicane from memory, and of course down the long straight between turns 3 and 5. Yeah, should be quite interesting in the V8 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. These cars have certainly shown what they can do around here before in the Gen 3s when we were back there for round 2 of V8SCOPS. For this one, it's a single 35-lap race, or 70 minutes, whichever comes first. Depending on safety cars, there's a chance that we might be going time certain. 2 compulsory pit stops are required for this race, with the Gen 1 cars capped at 80% and the Gen 2 cars capped at 66%. That's the 2014 and the 2018 cars, or 2019 cars rather. In the 2014 class, the Holden Commodore and the Ford Falcon, Matt Haywood is leading the way, but he said in the InSim text chat just before we went live that he only bought the track 15 minutes ago, so he's going to have a very tough time defending that from Aaron Gilbert.
Yeah, certainly will. I mean, I was watching earlier in the practice before we went live. He had a bit of a big whoops, and I think he's actually starting to regret it, having bought this track only 15 minutes ago. So I'm sure he would have wanted some more practice before we jumped in for tonight. But yeah, looking like a very close championship at the moment. Aaron Gilbert, of course, did very well over the last couple of rounds at Sebring and Detroit Belle Isle, but still trailing by a few points there. So 1,209 points to the 1,164 by Aaron Gilbert. So a very close championship indeed. And looking a bit further down, it's still very close amongst some of the other Gen 1 class cars. And then, of course, looking at Gen 2, Dylan Walker, Robbie Bradbury, and Lockhart Brownlee. So it's a Orbit drop beer sandwich with a Pacific Esports patty in the middle.
Yeah, certainly is. And Walker has been pretty dominant in the 2019 class. He has consistently gotten the best results out of everybody in that class. Brownlee, he's certainly shown that he can run with Walker, but luck hasn't fallen his way 100% of the time, and consistency might be an issue as well. Dylan Gray was very fast in the early stages of the championship, but he slipped back to 6th place. I'll have to see if he can get some momentum going again here in the French countryside. Chad Lewis in the 727 for Evolution Racing Team, another driver who we were expecting would be a little more consistent with those big results, but he's fallen victim to a few turns of luck over the course of the season thus far. Well, we're about to get into things here. The 2019 class standings run and done. We have 9 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Currently, Walker and Gilbert on top in their respective classes.
Yeah, looking very close at the moment. And then just for the people that are watching this, you can see on the side there the Aussie and New Zealand flags that are representing the different drivers here tonight. It's a new little update that iRacing had for this week, and I'm loving the update. So now we get a better look as to see who represents where. And you can see it's dominant. The 2019 class dominated by the Aussie contingent with the 5 Aussies up there. But yeah, Dylan Walker now top of the times there for class for the 2019 cars, and I think we can now see a bit more of a closer battle between the two, as it seems that the Gen 2 cars are a bit more up there and can now compete well with the 2014 cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a bit of a point of contention in the championship thus far. Just how fast those 2014 class cars actually are. They can put the power down to the ground a little better than the 2019 cars. Those more recent machines are a lot twitchier on the power, and you can very easily spin the wheels up. These things, like the one Aaron Gilbert is driving, by comparison, they are practically a Sunday drive, but that doesn't mean that they're easy to go fast in. The likes of Gilbert and Haywood, etc., are proving that. Gilbert is just a few hundredths of a second ahead of the returning Thomas Hens, who previously did a one-off round at Watkins Glen and absolutely dominated there. And he's back here for Magny-Cours after sitting out a couple of rounds.
Yeah, he had an absolutely brilliant round at Watkins Glen, sorry. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. I remember pumping up his tyres for Sebring, and he unfortunately didn't show up. So I mean, I guess I shot myself in the foot. But yeah, great to see Thomas Hens back. Be interesting to see if he's can keep up some momentum from Watkins Glen into this track here too. Completely different circuits as well. I mean, this one's got a lot more corners and a lot more slow corners at that as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes tonight, as Chad Lewis jumps up to 5th at the moment, and he's 3rd in class. So you look at a nice little mix-up in the qualifying order between the two different classes of cars. But Aaron Gilbert now riding on board with him as he's coming up towards the second half of the lap. Interesting to see if he can bring us the Drink Shifters car onto the top, coming through the chicane, and beautifully jumping over the curbs there, coming up to the final sequence of corners. And I'm not too sure what his time is looking like at the moment, but seeing that he is actually up by 0.4 of a second, so he could be getting there.
Certainly could.
My ATVO app is jumping back and forth here. Here we go. Through the final chicane. over the camera. Oh, okay. Oh, a bit of a lose there. So Aaron Gilbert might have just thrown that one away.
Still there goes overall P1. Wow.
Ooh, okay.
That's pretty incredible there from Aaron Gilbert. Yeah, he was struggling to put the power down out of the chicane there, but fortunately, the start-finish line is practically right there on the exit. So I think that saved the lap there for Aaron Gilbert. 39.2, now a 10th ahead of Dylan Walker.
That's a brilliant lap time. I really thought he thought he snaked that one. He might have jumped too much of the curve there. Or as you see, Thomas Hiddens gets a little bit over the curve there as well. Does a 1:39.5, so more slower than his fastest lap of the session. Dylan Walker in one of the Revolution race gear Castrol-esque looking cars, and obviously did a fabulous job at the last round out at Detroit Belle. Can't say the same for his teammates, sadly. Lockhart Brownlee, unfortunately, like you said earlier, unfortunately consistency, unfortunately luck is just not on his side. So hopefully he can turn that around tonight.
Here's hoping. As far as Brownlee goes, he's running very strongly at the moment. Second in the 2019 class behind Walker. We'll see if for the practically first time this season, we have a 2019 car starting on the overall pole position, getting the overall fastest time in qualifying. There's late improvements coming through. Dan Stevens just going to third in the 2014 class and sixth overall. Very good run there from the Middle Finger Racing number 3. Walker making his way up to Chateau d'Eau now. Got to run it right across the circuit for the braking zone for that corner. It's very difficult to do when the rear end is threatening to step out all the way through the exit of the S-bend beforehand. Just keeping it flat through here, and then hard on the brakes for the final sequence of corners. As you were saying before, Brandon, it's very difficult to get right, and he turns in for the chicane, bounces over the curbs, and the time is there. It's not quite quick enough. 1:39.4.
Yeah, certainly not what he wants, but he's certainly got consistency there. So we get Robert Bradbury now, as he comes up currently 141.2, so 6th at the moment, and that is in class. Currently sitting 11th overall in the Major Garage sponsored Mustang. So we see how he goes tonight. Hasn't had the best round of luck, but has had some consistency. But last round out, not too bad of a run for the Mustang.
It was actually a very good round for Bradbury at Belle Isle, and he now sits in that second place in the 2019 class. So let's see if he can keep that up. Billy Rowley, meanwhile, one of the drivers who's been looking for a good result in this series. Currently mired back in last place. One of, well, actually the only driver in the session that hasn't set a time yet. So we'll have to wait and see if he can improve on that. Brownlee making his way through the Adelaide hairpin. Perhaps the most important traction zone on the entire circuit there, and the most important braking zone as well. If you get that hairpin wrong, it sets you up for a terrible rest of the lap. It looks like Brownlee backing off through this section, through the Imola corner. Rowley, meanwhile, has begun his lap here, and he's hard on the brakes for Adelaide. Pick your turn-in point, gently does it across the curb, and then hard out. Track's a bit wider than you think it will be.
Yeah, it looks like he was a bit too deep on the brake there. I thought he just about came to a full stop. I think he might have been diving a little late on the brakes, because this is his first flying lap. We're going to see if we can stick with this one. See how he does. Look, a little bit scaly coming to the, a little bit squiggly, sorry, coming to the corner there. We'll see if he can bring around the VF Commodore. Oh, right now over the camera there. This comes up to the back end of the lap. This is a cool little section. This is one of my favorite parts of this track from my history of racing this. But we'll see if he see what he can do. Gets it out nice and wide. Slows it down now. Coming into the. Oh, okay. So there's just a little miss of the curve there on the inside. He's coming up to a couple of lapped cars. A couple of cars in front of him. Hopefully he's not going to be hampered too much with this one. And he now comes into the final little sequence. This is going to be interesting. I want to see where he ends up with this first flying lap. With less than a minute to go on the clock, a 140.4, and that puts him 6th in class overall behind Matt Haywood, and that's a bit of a big gap. But I mean, first flying lap, still trying to get used to it, I guess. Oh, someone's up in the background. I think that might be Robbie Bradbury, probably. He's just a little loose.
Potentially. Well, this is going to be Rowley's last chance to set a lap here if he decides to commit to that second lap. And Gilbert, if he commits to a second lap, might be able to go better as well. 139.5 on that one. Missed out on improving his time by 0.3. Dylan Walker, meanwhile, coming into the final sector of the racetrack. There's a lot of gravel that's been thrown out onto the exit of Chateau d'Eau there. Not ideal for traction. The session is checkered at the moment, but this is a single race session, so drivers will be able to finish their laps if they're on one. Walker clatters across the curbs there, and it's not an improvement for him. What about Lockhart Brownlee or Thomas Hinz even? 139.5 there for Hinzy. Another failure to improve. I think the track might be a little too hot at this stage. 39 Celsius out there, and all that gravel being thrown onto the circuit means the drivers are having a lot of trouble actually getting their final times in.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what you got to be worried about with racetracks. When you're out there qualifying, it can get a bit hot at the end, and then it struggles. It's a bit of a struggle to get your lap in. As you see, Chad Lewis comes flying over the curves there to finish off his lap, and then so does Robert Bradbury as well. And I think, oh no, here we go, Peter Pavlovich. Didn't realize he was still on track. See if he can do anything. Oh, and Dan Stevens.
Yeah, Bradbury improved on that previous lap, put Pavlovich down to 6th, and it looks like Stevens is going for the pit entry there. And that will be that for all the drivers that were on laps, it seems. And now we just wait for the timer to tick away, and that'll be the end of things for qualifying, and we'll be getting ready to go for the 35-lap race to come. So Aaron Gilbert, currently first overall, Dylan Walker second overall, with Brownlee and Hinz on the second row, with Lewis and Stevens rounding out your top 6. Henry King going to start in 7th place, 4th in the 2014 class. Matt Haywood alongside him, with Dylan Gray and Billy Rowley rounding out our top 10. Then Chris Dale and Bradbury are 11th and 12th. Pavlovich and Sean Slater will round out our 14 cars racing tonight. So it's a bit of a small field here, Brandon, but what we know is it doesn't necessarily matter the field size. It's all about the racing, and the racing has been good in this category.
Oh, it certainly has been. Ever since round 1, it's been really good. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for that one, but yeah, every round since then has been really action-packed. And no matter how many cars we have in the field for a night, we certainly look forward to the great race action that it brings. But 35 laps or 70 minutes, if we get a few safety cars involved there, I might have just jinxed this one, but should be an interesting one for sure on a Grand Prix track in France.
Indeed. Well, session flicks on over. Reminder that there's going to be 2 compulsory pit stops required over this 35-lap race. So, question is, will you split it even? Will you go 2 long and 1 short, or will you decide to go for a very long stint with 2 shorter stints in between? That's the big question. What these drivers have to deal with as the grid is now live and drivers find their way onto it, and they are being gridded by qualifying time, not by class. So we will see Aaron Gilbert lead them into turn 1. The problem is, as you can see, the pole pit box, it may be on the racing line, but it's actually on the outside for turn 1. So if Walker or Stevens or anyone behind in that left-hand row gets a better start, Gilbert might be in trouble.
Yeah, certainly will be interesting to see if Gilbert can get a good start off the line. But I mean, you only get one shot at getting a start. But Aaron Gilbert, he knows how to handle these 2014 cars. He has been so dominant with the last 2 rounds that we've had. So he's obviously knowing how to start these cars, but we'll see how it turns out here tonight. as the gridding process is still
Still
in
got about
place at the moment.
25 seconds left.
All right,
So,
all right, so only about 25 seconds left. So I'll see if Aaron Gilbert can get this one. Pocket on the racing line there. Look at that. He's going to get hounded by a couple of Castrol-looking cars there in Lockhart, Brownlee, and Dylan Gray. I bet he's probably wishing his teammate was up there with him.
Yeah, definitely. Thomas Hinz also running a sort of Castrol-like livery there in the number 62, starting out of 4th overall. This will be interesting to see. The revs rise, and we get ready to go for 35 laps at Magny-Cours. V8SCOPS supports round 2 is go after many weeks of waiting. And Gilbert absolutely nails the start coming into the first corner. He will lead on the way into Estoril at turn 3. A little bit of side-by-side further back. Matt Haywood is wide there in the background, and he's just let Henry King through. Under pressure from Dylan Gray as well in the number 52 machine. This will be an interesting start, especially as they come down to the hairpins. Runs being set up here. Hinsey going for the inside on Chad Lewis as it's very deep under brakes there for Dylan Gray. He's going to get 2 for 1 at the Adelaide hairpin.
Oh, that's a brilliant move there by Dylan Gray. Absolutely awesome stuff over there. But Dan Stevens now up into 4th place. Got a brilliant start and has made his way up into 4th. So that's a good start there. But we look at Dylan Gray now. So the car's jumping over the curb there. Right now, coming up into the back section of the circuit. Yeah, there's just so much going on right now. It's hard for me to concentrate. But Henry King looking for a way past, and Matt Haywood getting past it. Got a few more moves happening in the background there. But Aaron Gilbert now leads this one with a couple of Castrol cars on his tail, trying to chase him down. Oh, bouncing over the curb. There's Dylan Gray, and I think Henry King just followed him through with that one. As it looks like Dylan Gray down from the inside gets it done on Chad Lewis, and Thomas Hinz looking for a move on Dan Stevens here. Let's see if he can get it done. He's got a couple of shots left at it before the start of this lap. Let's see if he'll try and go for it. Big moves happening there in the background as well. Chad Lewis on Dylan Gray. Let's see if that works. Dan Stevens jumping over the curb. Chad Lewis gets the move done. And side by side here now, Dan Stevens is going to lose that place to Thomas Hinz. Let's see if he can maybe get it. Oh, bit of a touch. Bit of a touch there. That's cost Dan Stevens a run, and Chad Lewis sees an opportunity. Says, thank you, Dan. I'll take that one.
But not without a little bit of biffo back from Stevens, and Gray's going to come through to take advantage and get both of them on the exit of turn 3. This is an incredible first couple of laps here. It all started with Dan Stevens having that poor run coming into the final chicane. Look at the dive from Henry King. Oh, he's overshot the hairpin, and he's going to go descending down the order outside the top 10 all the way to dead last. There he is.
Oh no, Henry King will be kicking himself. He almost had that one done and just unfortunately overshot it. And this battle pack has not ended yet. Dan Stevens now losing another place. Oh geez, this is just turned into a fight here. Robert Crisdale getting involved there as well. Look at Matt Haywood, he's up the back there. He wants to sniff of the action. But Chad Lewis now is getting hounded now by a couple of VF Commodores. And hang on, if we just look forward there, Billy Rowley, he's up into 3rd in class now, and he's going to go chasing down some of the front pack. So Billy Rowley somehow has slipped unnoticed and has gone past. We're busy looking at the battle, and he's just like, hello.
It's a good run from Billy Rowley. Up 4 places, same for Dylan Gray as well. Both of these guys having great first runs here at the start of the race. Yeah, Rowley, it seemed, was not quite able to get the time he wanted in qualifying, but man, once we put the race fuel in the car, that's absolutely come alive for him. So let's see if he can hold them off, as looks like the chaos behind has sorted out just a bit. Lewis ahead of Stevens and Crisdale and Haywood. Here is what triggered all of that. Stevens just going a bit deep into the final corners, and then that ruined his run through the chicane. Hinsey said, okay, I'm just going to go for the over-under and pass on the way into turn 1. But Stevens, I think, was a little thrown off by that. He was a bit too deep into turn 1, hit the back of Hinsey there. They both got away with that, but that sent Stevens wide, and then Lewis says, thank you very much, I'll come through. Stevens, again, tries to get the run out of the corner, but gets into the back of Lewis, and there goes Dylan Gray. Henry King was thinking, Okay, I'm going to try and follow you through here, but evidently he completely missed his braking point. See the brake lights come on ahead, then King's like, oh dear, oh no, help!
Oh, Henry King really getting to the back there of Thomas Hens. That was that was close. But Dan Stevens, I think he was a little bit. I think he sort of took the getting passed by Thomas Hens and sorry, Chad Lewis a little bit too personally, giving all taps as they went past him. As it looks like Robert Crisdale, over the curb, and it's going to Dan Stevens. Billy Rowley running wide there up ahead. That's just brought a whole lot of gravel onto the circuit, and we'll see if that changes anything for the drivers. But Matt Haywood now, he's looking for some moves. Dan Stevens looking to get it back, gets it done. So looks like he just sort of like escorted. Who was that? Sorry, that he paused. Sorry, I was also trying to thought there for a second. He's just escorted.
It was
Robert Crisdale. Sorry, Robert Crisdale. Just escorted a bit wide, and that's cost Robert Crisdale a couple more spots there. So Dan Stevens gets him back. Take a look at the replay here. Billy Rowley, what happened?
He just ran
a bit wide. Whoa!
Yeah, so that's where the gravel came from. That's where it got put onto the circuit. So fortunately, he managed to keep everyone else behind him. But that is one mistake that he would rather do without. Haywood would rather do without Crisdale up the inside of him. But Rob has a lot of trouble getting the power down there out of the hairpin. Now they find their way into Imola, which is this fast chicane here. You can climb all over the curbs at this section of the circuit, but it's very easy to get a slowdown. You've got to be careful through here. And also, we run into this hairpin that really tightens on the way through. There's Crisdale getting on the power, on the tight line through a hairpin. It's always troublesome in cars this powerful.
Yeah, he seems to have just cost himself a little bit there, because now he has Dylan Gray on his tail. And look at the background there. There's also look in front here with Aaron Gilbert. Look in the back there. Thomas Hens has gotten past Lockhart Brownlee, so Thomas Hens is now third overall for this race. I wonder if Lockhart's maybe either had a bit of an issue, or if Thomas Hens has found some extra pace in the Falcon. So this is now truly mixed up the order a little bit as the cars are changing positions left, right, and center. Here we go. Replay.
This is Brownlee. He's
doesn't
gone a bit deep.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So there's two possibilities there. Either he just straight up ran deep into the corner, or he got a slowdown at the chicane there by running a bit too far over the curb, and that was his way of clearing it. Regardless, Thomas Hens is up at a third overall, and Stevens and Haywood still going at it here, this time out of turn 3. And Haywood will be none too happy with that. He'll be trying to search for the inside line, potentially at the hairpin, but he's... oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, he thought about it. Has Stevens gone too deep? He has. And Haywood will get the position, but he's struggling to put the power down, and Stevens with the outside run straightens the car up a bit sooner. They'll be side by side in Imola. Does Haywood dare get up the inside here? He certainly does, and Stevens is going to go a little too far beyond the curb. Don't know if that was a slowdown for him. It doesn't look like it was. And Haywood now is completely offline. That's brought this whole pack back into consideration. Crisdale, King, Bradbury, and Pavlovich, the teammates, bringing up the rear.
Oh, that is just absolutely awesome. Now, this has just made this battle, a 2-car battle, into, what is this, a 5-car battle, a 6-car battle now? So I think this is going to be nice and close now to see if anyone makes an opportunity with lap 5, and Robert Crisdale makes his way down the inside of Matt Haywood. And look at Henry King. He's wanting a sniff of the action now. Look at this.
Oh man, this is tough.
Come on, Henry. Don't do what you did a few laps ago, mate. Just take it easy. Don't want to overshoot it again, as Robert Crisdale now gets a good move done there on Matt Haywood and has made it up another position and just sort of stopped the crisscross from happening. So that was brilliantly done.
Certainly was. I mean, they're sending it at just about every braking zone in this pack. They're having a lot of trouble sorting themselves out. And I think what that's telling me is this track, rhythm is so incredibly important. I mean, we both know that for a fact, having driven around it ourselves. But it's really showing here. When you're in a big pack like this, you get your rhythm just a little bit off, and you'll be passing and being passed left, right, and center. They all stay in line through the hairpin, though, I think now it's going to come down to which of the first is there to make a mistake.
Yeah, it certainly is as well. And I mean, look, like we must have to get 35 laps. There's 2 pit stops to come, so we'll see what happens. Let's see who's the first one. That was close there. Matt Haywood nearly getting into the rear of Dan Stevens. That's where Dan ran wide at the hip. And we got to remember though, I mean, 2 pit stops. It's a 35 lap race, and how do you split those pit stops? Because the thing is, you're in this battle pack. You got to remember, pit stops are to come. That could change up the order big time, and depending on what you do in those stops, could change the outcome of where you end up when the cycle is completed. So you've got to be really careful of where you want to place the car, and not get too caught up in the battle pack as Matt Haywood gets some move done on Robert Crisdale. I think he might have just run a bit wide there, and you've got to be really careful as they go side by side coming down into turn 15. Oh, Matt Haywood jumping over the curb there, making sure he stays on the inside. Side by side here. Let's see what happens.
There's King into the pits.
Okay,
they're
so
still
King's
side by side.
oh, no, okay. All right, so not take away from King's pit stop, but I mean, yeah, certainly that was a good battle there between Matt Haywood and Robert Crisdale. So Henry King comes into the lane now, decides to not want to be involved in that, and try and get on some clean air as well. As we take a look back at the front here, Aaron Gilbert still holding a bit of a lead here, just 1 second lead here, so not as quick as he was out at Sebring in Detroit, but I think this is the big equalizer, is this track here with the 2019 cars now getting a bit closer with our 2014 spec machinery.
Haywood, unfortunately, it seems had a bad run out of turn 3 there, either that or a slowdown, and he's now way back in that pack. And I think King taking his pit stop now. Oh, God, that was a lot of curb. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Peter Pavlovich really pushing the limits there. King pitting when he did, very smart, because he was right in the middle of that pack. He wasn't going to go anywhere if he stuck with it. This means that he can potentially get a tire undercut. Not just that, but set himself up for maybe a longer second stint, get the undercut in the short term, and then maybe hold on to the positions once he's moved to the effective front of that pack. It'll be a very interesting decision, and can't wait to see how that turns out for him. Walker and Gilbert keeping each other close company up the front. Gilbert has been running consistently about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than Walker at the front of the field. So the hands of the race very firmly. Gilbert firmly has the race in his hands, if I can get my word right. Walker, at the moment, still leading by a long way in the 2019 class, and well, that's our top 4 there, all in the same frame. 2 2014s, 2 2019s.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of it looks like a 3-on-1 battle because the cars in 2nd to 4th all look like they're running Castrol-esque liveries, and I mean, poor Aaron Gilbert's up the front in the only like non-Castrol car. So I think maybe a few little bit of friendly team ups might happen. Maybe they might try and see if they can get up to Aaron Gilbert, maybe psych him out a little bit and see what they can do. But Aaron Gilbert knows how to drive this car, and he is absolutely pushing it right now. I mean, he knows this 2014 car probably like the back of his hand. I mean, he's driven it so well over the last few rounds, and it looks like Dylan Walker might be catching up a little bit. He's actually gotten a lot closer. I wonder if he's either found some pace or if Aaron might be slowing it down to possibly come into the pits. I mean, we're on lap 8. I wouldn't be surprised to see if maybe one of these top 4 come in. I'm not too sure what they've planned in terms of strategies. Let's take a look. Nope. The top 2, top 3, and top 4 still go around. So Dylan Walker now catching up to Aaron Gilbert. We'll see if he can maintain that one. Jumping over the curb there.
That was Gray, I think.
Yeah, that was Gray. Sorry, so I look at my ATVO to find out who I was looking at. And we can see now everyone's still going. So no one's made a pit stop yet apart from Henry King. So Henry King's the only one so far to make a pit stop.
Yeah, so King is Gilbert's teammate. So Aaron might be keeping a close eye on how King goes here. Hinsey also part of the Team Jinx Shifters squad there in 3rd overall. You see Walker was much faster than Gilbert on the last lap. So I think that might have been a little blip for Aaron Gilbert, potentially. I'll have to wait and see. You're right, he is incredibly consistent and he does know these cars like the back of his hand. The V8 support category used to just be the 2014 cars, and Aaron Gilbert was champion of this support category. In fact, he is the current reigning champion. That's why he has the #1 on his windscreen there. So he has a lot of form to back himself up. Right now, it looks like he's backing himself up into Dylan Walker. On board with Dylan here, we'll see if there's any particular place where Gilbert is less strong. Into the final chicane they come. And, well, for the moment, it just looks like Gilbert is straight up a tiny head stop all the way through. Across the line they come, and Walker still faster than Gilbert on that occasion, but only by 0.5 of a second. Looks like the life has gone out of these tyres.
Yeah, it looks like it has, but I'm starting to think that maybe Dylan Walker might actually be a bit faster through the back end of the track as well, because I think the back half of the track is where Aaron Gilbert seems to struggle a little bit with the tyres. I mean, maybe the tyres have gone, or maybe Aaron's just not too strong there. As Robert Crisdale, we can see there on the right hand side of the screen there on the timer, has come into the pit, so he's decided to come in and get stop #1 out of the way. So take a look now, Chad Lewis now being hunted down by Dylan Gray, and Billy Rowley there just bringing up the rear at the moment. So yeah, pretty interesting first little stint of this race, I should say. Pretty action-packed, but now the drivers are now just calmed down, trying to get themselves into a rhythm, as you say, Reese. It's all about rhythm at this place, because it's not like Detroit or Sebring. This is a permanent racetrack, and this is one of those tracks where you have to have a rhythm going for yourself, otherwise you're just going to end up at the back.
Yeah, it's a very smooth surface as well, being a former Formula 1 circuit. It's very well maintained, and if I'm correct, still actually holds an FIA Grade 1 license. So it's a very well maintained venue. Looking at Crisdale and King's pit stops here, it looks like Rob is going to be going for a bit of a longer second stint than King. King's pit stop 13.3 seconds, Crisdale 16.7 seconds in the box. So it gives you a sort of vague idea of how it may turn things out. For the moment, gaps in the top 3 starting to come together here. Hins, the fastest of the top 3, and actually has the fastest lap of the race. That Ratu Falcon is looking mighty speedy at the moment, and Walker sort of matching Gilbert on that lap. Things are starting to get a little bit interesting here in the top 3, as Walker's almost on the rear bumper of Gilbert.
Yeah, he's very, very close at the moment, but looking back at the best lap time so far for this whole field, Thomas Hins, as you said, has got the fastest lap. He's the only driver to get it down to a 39.9. Everyone else is in the 140s or worse than that. So Thomas Hins obviously has some speed in that car. He had it at the start. Now, obviously, when the tyres were still pretty good, but we're looking now at the battle pack here for first. Dylan Walker has achieved some more space. He is very, very close at the moment to Aaron Gilbert. We'll see if he can make any moves stick. That's very close. He can see the back of the Ford Falcon, and he's okay. So he decides to run a little bit more shallower on the exit. He's going to come down now under the bridge, and we're right on board now with Thomas Hins. He's going to have a front row seat of this battle, and
Getting a little bit closer.
Yeah, a little bit closer, little bit by little bit. It's lap after lap. We now start lap 12.
Brownlee's coming.
And Brownlee has decided to come in. I think he's decided to see, oh, okay, we've got a battle going here. They might slow each other up. I can come in with some fresh tyres and come on through. And Hins might be looking for a move here. Chad Lewis comes in.
Yep, Lewis the next to come in. Dan Stevens also makes his way in, but Hinsey was gearing up the exit of turn 3, wasn't he? And he's in the slipstream now of Dylan Walker. He's going to peek up the inside coming into Adelaide, but Walker is a little deeper and still manages to hook up the apex, so no move for Hinsey that time. I think Lockhart Brownlee coming in when he did trying to undercut Hinsey and get up there with his teammate Walker. They want to try and get the best result for the team at Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport. So get the Jig Shifters car out of the picture, and maybe they might have a chance at a double overall podium. They've already got the 1-2 in class, so not much more to be done about that. But see what Brownlee does here on this stint. I'm checking his numbers here. 12.6 seconds in the stop there. He's put in a bit of fuel. Chad Lewis has put in barely any fuel at all, really. Only enough to cover the tyre change. 10.8 seconds worth of fuel in the pit box there for Chad. And now we're going to see Lockhart Brownlee come out in traffic. This is not a good situation here for Lockie. He would have wanted that clear air to try and take advantage of his newer tyres, but he's up there behind Robbie Bradbury, and he gets pushed a little wide there. Bradbury taking the racing line, as is his right, but Brownlee with traction on the exit is going to get the position, maybe with a little bump on the way through too. You can tell that Bradbury's not too happy with that.
Yeah, Bradbury doesn't seem very happy with that. Flashing the headlights at Lockhart Brownlee after that happened. But yeah, Lockhart Brownlee with the fresher tyres now wants to get through. As we see, Thomas Hens has come out of the pit lane. And he's now got the fresher tyres. We'll see where he ends up.
Longest stop for Hens, but he is going to come out ahead. That traffic really hurt Lockie.
Yeah, that traffic did for sure. And Thomas Hens now makes his way up the inside of Matt Haywood. And Matt Haywood has done a stop yet. No, he has not. So he's buried in between a couple of cars who have made a pit stop. And Lockhart Brownlee now, with some fresher tyres, gets his way down the inside of Matt Haywood and makes up another position.
Check back in with the top two meanwhile. Aaron Gilbert and Dylan Walker still cruising out the front of this field. Walker was the fastest car on track last time by, so there's evidently still quite a bit of pace left in those tyres, but we're still waiting on the first real fast laps from the likes of Brownlee and Hins to see what a real comparison is. But do they respond this time? Gilbert's going straight ahead, and Dylan Walker will stay out an extra lap. Will that be the right decision in the end? I mean, they're not competing for points based on overall position in this category. The 14 and 19 cars are scored separately, but it would still be nice to get that overall victory for Dylan Walker. So maybe staying out an extra lap will get him that. Remains to be seen, though. The undercut is typically very strong in these cars.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we can see Lockhart really flying over the top of the final two curves there. And yeah, no, look, the undercut is something that you've got to keep in mind. I mean, if it doesn't, you know, if it can work for you, then if you can make it work, then it'll be absolutely crucial to the end result. And I'm sure that Walker is eyeing out that overall victory, as you said. He doesn't. I don't think he wants Aaron Gilbert to grab any more. But as we see now on board now with Chad Lewis up the inside of the 216. Let's see if he can get it done. He's got a good run coming into the airpin. And it looks as though he could get this one done unless Peter Pavlovich wants to go for a move. Nope. Okay, he's going to let him go. So nicely done there by Chad Lewis. Clean as a whistle. Good on him as he moves up into fifth in class. And I don't think Peter Pavlovich wants to let this one go.
Not quite, but you got to remember those Pacific Esports racing cars of Bradbury and Pavlovich have not come into the pits yet. Neither has Dylan Gray, their third teammate. Unfortunately for Dan Stevens, it looks like he's received a black flag from the simulator. Didn't clear a slowdown in time, so that's a big blow for the man who only just came out of the pit lane. Meanwhile, coming into the pit lane, here's Dylan Walker, and well, he'll be aiming for a pit stop that's comparative with Gilbert and Hins around the 12 to 14 second range. Thomas Hins was chasing him before the pit cycle, and it looks like Ray's come in as well. Walker already out, but it looks like Hinsey might get him.
Yep, it looks like he has, and he's really gotten there. So he's cleared Dylan Walker there, but Dylan Walker will have some slightly fresher tyres, but Thomas Hens will have warmed up tyres. So we'll see if Hensy can just keep up this pace, keep up the gap, and make sure that Dylan Walker doesn't get too close, as it looks as though Chad Lewis now has come up the inside of Robert Bradbury, and it has Chad Lewis got some damage there on the corner there, Reece, so the front left corner of the car there.
Looks like he has. Oh, that's not good there for Chad. Maybe a little bit of contact in the midst of all of that. He does put the PER cars behind him, but yeah, looks like that'll have to be a little bit of buffing out to be done at the next pit stop. And speaking of the next pit stops, I think we have some clues as to how long the drivers are going to go here. Dylan Gray and Matt Haywood, as well as Sean Slater, very long pit stops further back in the field, over 20 seconds. So they're gearing up for a mega long second stint.
Like you say, fuel can cover tyres if you so choose to. But given the long pit stops for those three, it looks like they could be gearing up for a really long stint, and there may be a short stint at the end of this one. The only two people left to take their first stop is Robbie Bradbury and Peter Pavlovic, who are here at the background here of Chad Lewis. Oh, there's a bit of a slide there for Robbie. Coming to 15, might have just locked up. And they're going to go around again, so they're leaving this one very, very late. I wonder if they might do maybe a couple of stops near the end and sort of have two short runs to bring themselves to the end.
It looks like that's what they're going for. Interesting strategy, because everyone else will have the advantage of fresh tyres here in the mid-phase. Bradbury and Pavlovic's tyres have practically nothing left on them now. This is where the damage for Lewis came from. On the way into turns 1 and 2, you see the difference in tyre freshness there. He gets in the inside of turn 3, little bit of contact there on Bradbury, and well, they get away with it, but Bradbury washing out a bit wide thanks to that contact and being put slightly offline. Chad Lewis is through, but carrying some slight damage to the front. That might affect his straight line speed, but it shouldn't be too much trouble for him. Meanwhile, Thomas Hins now in overall second behind his teammate Aaron Gilbert. Jinx Shifters running 1 and 2 overall. But Dylan Walker now is starting to gear things up here. He is on the older tyres, only by a couple of laps though. We'll see if he can get the move done.
Yeah, certainly can. I mean, Thomas Hins has obviously found some speed in that car. I mean, having sat out, well, only doing the one-off round at Watkins Glen for himself, where he had a dominant performance, and then missing out the next two rounds, which is Sebring and Detroit by coming back here at Magny-Cours. And a bit slidey out of the final corner. Dylan Walker might sniff at an opportunity here to look at a move to get back into second overall, but he's first in class, so he's not having to worry about overall points. They do fight for their own points in these classes. So the 2014 cars battle for points in their class, and then the same with the 2019 cars. Go on board here. Thomas Hins looking around, trying to see what he can do to keep Dylan Walker at bay. Look from the back here, you can see, look at how close Dylan Walker is. He might be looking for a move a little bit shallower on the exit of the hairpin. And he is still very close there. You can see in the background is Lockhart Brownlee just trailing there at the back, as Peter Pavlovic and Robbie Bradbury have come into the lane now and has taken their first service of the race.
Yep, about 12 and a bit seconds each in the pit lane for the teammates Bradbury and Pavlovic. Dylan Gray has just found his way past Henry King, passed for 7th overall. And it looks like that was done pretty textbook-like at the Adelaide hairpin. Gray with the longest pit stop in the top 10 right now. So he's geared up for a long stint there. New graphic for me on screen, apparently. That's the incident ticker. Wow, that's the first time we've seen that there on a SimSpeed broadcast, I believe. At least SimSpeed broadcast that I've been there for. Geez, Haywood's got a lot.
Yeah.
So 25 incidents is the limit. You go beyond that, you get a drive-through penalty. So Haywood will have to clean things up here. Of course, he has been learning the circuit this whole time. Only purchased the track about 20 minutes before the start of our broadcast, and well, there you go. That's another little mistake from him. Magny-Cours is a tough track to learn, in my experience. The corners come so thick and fast. It's all well and good if you're in a grippy open wheeler or a GT car, but these things, you're throwing 1.5 tons of weight around with 600 plus horsepower going through the rear wheels, and you've got to manually put the throttle all the way down the gears. So it's very difficult to find your way around here quickly when you're only just learning it for the first time.
Yeah, of course, any track will be difficult to learn at the first time, but if you're learning this track for your first time, and I mean, if you do what Matt Haywood does and buy it 20 minutes before you get into a session, I mean, it's pretty tough. You want to be able to learn the track on your own in like a time trial of sorts, just to see if you can get your head around the track, especially if it's one you don't know. But Matt Haywood out here trying to do the best he can with the knowledge that he has of this track. Only been on it for probably the last hour and a bit. Probably compared to everyone else. I don't know how long everyone else may have had this track for. But Matt Haywood now looking for some moves. And, bouncing over the curb. They're just about seeing the ground with the side of his car. So Matt Haywood really pushing it, and certainly really giving it his all at this point in the race. With 19 laps down. And we still got a bit of a way to go.
Yeah, the orange anti-cut curbs here, they can be used, but you got to really be careful. You run it a bit too tight, and that was almost all 4 wheels leaving the ground there for Haywood. That does cost you a little bit of time. So Haywood will learn that lesson and keep chasing down Peter Pavlovich here. Again, through the final chicane. It's one of the most unstable areas of the entire circuit. And what you'll notice is it's actually interesting because in a lot of other categories, they actually run fully beyond the limits of the racetrack down the start-finish straight. But these guys aren't clambering all over that right-hand side curb like I expected them to. Evidently, they're willing to take it a little bit easier. Well, you see just how close our top 3 are at the moment, with Gilbert, Hins and Walker just coming through Chateau d'Eau there. Lockhart Brownlee losing some time. I noticed that he got a slowdown a few laps ago, so he's unfortunately lost touch with the top 3 as things stand. But by the same token, Dylan Walker also losing touch with Gilbert and Hens. It seems that he has had a couple of inconsistent laps. Hens back into the 1:30 39s there. 1:39.6, fastest car in the field on this particular lap.
Yeah, Hens seems to be closing in real fast onto the back of his teammate there. But yeah, he seems to have a lot more pace in that car. He seems to be getting a bit more comfortable. So I think he might be looking to either just shadow his teammate here and sort of protect him from any more, or I think he might just want to try and take a win for himself here, given he's not been around for the last 2. And Watkins Glen was meant to be a one-off for him. And he seems to be putting the pace now to might be putting the foot down now to sort of see if he can catch up with Aaron Gilbert and get on through. 15 laps to go in this one. And Thomas Hins flying it around the corner there, but Dylan Walker is still there. The gap may have opened up a little bit, but Dylan Walker is still there. Don't count him out in this one. He's a pretty tough competitor with this one. But yeah, this race is certainly spiced up a little bit now, and we still have another round of pit stops to go. So within the next 15 laps, expect these guys to make one more stop, and we'll see who will go to almost the very end and maybe make it a short stop and see if they can claim a few positions at the end there.
Yeah, so drivers to look out for, certainly our top 3 here, but also keep an eye out for Dylan Gray as well. He's running some reasonably quick laps. He's starting to catch up to Billy Rowley for 6th overall. And remember, Gray had the longest pit stop of anyone in the top 10. So potentially gearing up for a pit stop right near the end. It's certainly going to be one of the shortest final pit stops we'll see, probably only beaten by Haywood and Slater, who've had the longest first stops. But there's potential for Gray to jump up a few more positions on the way to the end once this pit cycle is complete. Hins is continuing to creep ever closer to Aaron Gilbert at the front of the field, taking 0.3 of a second out of him on the previous lap. And look at them through this chicane here. See how smooth and controlled those Jinx Shifters cars are. Hinsey actually hit that anti-cut curve that we saw send Matt Haywood almost sky high. And, well, the number 62 barely showing any signs of difficulty. We have our second pit stop. Robert Crisdale has just come in, and it's a 16.2 second stop for him. Looks like maybe a bit longer than he would have wanted, but at the very least, he should be comfortable to the end.
Yeah, that should certainly see him through to the end there. Hopefully he's got enough fuel on board. Hopefully he's taken enough fuel there to last him through to the end. But yeah, going back to Hins, going through that chicane there, he flew over that, like he glided over that chicane. I mean, that was just picture perfect right there. We look back here at Dylan Gray now. We're looking for a move on Billy Rowley as Thomas Hins is coming to the lane. So Thomas Hins has pulled out of that one and is now coming to take his second stop. So a little bit earlier than what I expected him to do. Just take a look at the hairpin here. Lock up.
That was Dylan Gray and Billy Rowley there.
I wonder if Dylan has... Oh, okay. Not too sure what happened there. I wonder if he got a slowdown and has had to...
He's clearing it, and then there was another one. So, yeah, Dylan Gray struggling to get free of Billy Rowley here. And not quite able to take advantage of the clear pace that he has. I mean, his lap times obviously aren't as quick as those up the front, but he's still pretty competitive for the midfield, and he's trying to set himself up for that final stop, isn't he? So any little mistakes that he makes along the way just going to compound the potential time loss there, and it's going to be even more difficult for him to recover.
Yeah, it is going to be a bit of a difficulty for him to try and make up that time as... Oh, Billy Rowley runs very wide. Get a bit of contact on the exit there, and now we've got a drag race. Commodore versus Mustang. Let's go. Let's see how this ends up. Coming through Imola. Oh, Billy Rowley decides to just back off there. Goes, I'm not going to get through this. And Dylan Gray now has managed to make up that move and has come through. And Henry King is in the back here, just enjoying the action now. So that was a bit of a close one there. First bit of action we've seen in a little while.
Yeah.
Henry King will now be looking to possibly try and catch up. Lockhart Brownlee now comes into the pit lane. I think he's decided that now is the time to chuck on a fresh set of tyres and go through to the end.
Yes, so Thomas Hins here, having just come into the pits for his second set of tyres, will be battling straight with Brownlee here. Now, how long is Brownlee's second stop? Well, Hins has already passed, and, well, Brownlee does have a quicker pit stop, but the time difference was just too great between them. Rowley decides it's time to come in. He did have that lock-up in the previous lap, and then the slide out of the hairpin that nearly took out himself and Dylan Gray. Speaking of Gray, Brownlee comes out right alongside him, and the fresh tyres right there for the Commodore. They make contact, and Brownlee goes, okay, mate, it's on now. Dylan Gray on old tyres. He's been out there now for 8 laps. Not as old as they could be, but Brownlee gets up the inside, and Gray is forced to take a bit of a wider line there. Lockhart is through and clear of the traffic, and only 2 cars behind him is Henry King, the man who was the first of all of them to come into the pit lane. Massive, massive curb usage there. So, evidently, those 2019 cars don't have much luck with that anti-cut either. No,
unfortunately, I think the 2019 cars are looking very, very smooth over those big anti-cut curbs like the rest are. But yeah, Lockhart Brownlee, unfortunately, wasn't very happy with Dylan Gray there getting forced out wide as he came out of the pits. We'll take a little bit of a slow-mo here. Let's see as he comes in. Beautiful entry. And up on the anti-cut curve. Look at that, there you go. There's a view for you.
And it looks like behind him, Dylan Gray almost did the same thing, didn't quite get as much angle. I think what's triggering that is basically how far along the curb you actually hit the anti-cut, because every time we've seen someone go that high, they've actually hit the start of the curb. See if anyone pushes it a little further than that. Dylan Gray and Henry King just coming into the lane for their second and final stops, and Gray should have a very short final stop here, enough to get 4 more tyres on the car, and he is away. Henry King, though, going to be spending a bit more time in there, and it's actually quite long there for King. So it's going to be 17.8 seconds. Remember that the fill rate for the 2014 cars is a bit higher than that of the 2019, so they take a bit longer to fill up their restricted tank. So this slow-mo here of Brownlee. Watch for the start of that curb. It's quite a bump. And man, you're pretty much bottoming out the suspension there. Just balancing on the outer edge of those left side tires and then crashing back down to earth, scraping the splitter on the ground. Just an incredible slow-mo opportunity, this circuit, at multiple corners. Gilbert and Walker find their way into the lane.
Yeah, there's going to be a battle of the pit stops here as Chad Lewis now comes in as well. Thomas Hins will come up to the final couple of corners. We'll see if he can beat out Aaron Gilbert and Dylan Walker out of the lane. Dylan Walker's stopped and serviced. Let's see if he can beat them out. So now for Dylan Walker, there he is up there. And he is going to beat out Thomas Hins. So a bit of a change up compared to the first cycle of pit stops. So now Dylan Walker currently assumes what I would assume after once all the stops are done. No, never mind. He's actually first overall, and he is away. There's a bit of a gap between the two there, 1.2 seconds. So it's a bit of a gap at this stage. And Aaron Gilbert now comes out in third. So I wonder if Aaron Gilbert might have taken on a bit more fuel than what he would have liked with that one.
Well, the pit stops will be slightly longer for the 2014 cars in any case, but yeah, I'm surprised by the length of the stop there for Gilbert, regardless. 19.9 seconds. That's pretty crazy. But we'll have enough fuel to get to the end at the very least. And well, I'm reviewing his stop at the moment. It doesn't look like he did anything wrong necessarily. Just a slower run through pit lane than Thomas Hins. So see if he can grab second place once again, but he's got a bit of time to make up, 4.5 seconds to be exact. And he's got Lockhart Brownlee right behind, who is chasing. The 2019 cars seem pretty strong in this second part of the race. 10 laps to go for our leaders. And Dylan Walker might be heading to the first overall victory for a 2019 car in a while, at least, if not ever, with the two-class format we've got going here.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one to see if Dylan Walker can get that one done. He'll be a very happy man if he can be the first person. I think this year, I don't think a 2019 car has actually won overall in the races. Oh, wait a minute, is that Matt Haywood with a bit of a slide into the pit lane there?
Yep, it was.
I think I locked
up the
it.
brakes. Yeah. Tough entry into pit lane here. And Haywood would have lost a bit of time there. Oh, the teammates starting to get into each other here. That's Gray finding his way past Pavlovich and up into 6th overall. Not without a little bit of slip and slide. Billy Rowley will be watching on with glee at that. As Haywood's run into the lane, just coming over the bump there. Oh boy, it's mighty tough. I mean, these cars don't have anti-lock brakes, just to start with. But it's so difficult to actually pick your braking point for that pit lane because it comes right off the entry to the final couple of corners.
Yeah, it certainly does. You've got to be very careful on pit lane entry as well. Oh, okay, here we go. It looks as though the...
there goes Rowley.
Oh,
That's a slowdown for Pavlovich.
That would have been a slowdown. He jumped over that anti-cut curve quite badly there. And that was either a slowdown or just trying to get the car under control. We look a little bit back now to Robert Crisdale and Henry King fighting over 4th in class. And Henry King was one of the first to go into the pits. Henry King looks to be pushing it a little bit here. So I think Henry King wants to get up there. I think he's a little bit tired of seeing the back of the Commodore at the moment. Oh, lock up there for Crisdale.
Oh, here we go.
Henry King gonna look for a move. See if he can make it stick. No, he's just backed off a little bit there. So Henry King is obviously has obviously found some pace in there and is really wanting to get past Crisdale at the moment as Peter Pavlovic goes into the lane as well. And we can look now at the back here, on board now with Henry King, now looking at the back of the 808 of Robert Crisdale here, coming through turns 1 and 2 and then into 3. This long sweeping right-hander here. And it looks as though Henry King might just have lost a little bit of space there, but looks to be just showing the nose a little bit to Robert, just even though he's still there, trying to sort of maybe psych him out a little bit, see if he makes a mistake. Got a good run here, and around the outside.
Crossover. Yes. Yes, come on, let's do it. Oh, it's not enough. King, I think, has been struggling for traction. You saw him coming out of Chateau d'Eau behind Crisdale when Rob ran deep there. King was trying to put the power down for a crossover move there, but he was just sliding and ripping the rears out of the corner. He's got to be very careful on the way out of these turns. We're approaching the point where Crisdale made the mistake the lap previous. He's going to keep defending from King here, coming into the chicane here. Well, I suppose it's a high-speed S-bend. I mean, when does an S-bend become a chicane? That's a bit of a question for anyone in the chat. But King, narrow again out of Chateau d'Eau, and this time he doesn't slide the car around. Setting himself up for a nice move into the final couple of corners, but he's not close enough to get it done. Crisdale goes defensive. King switching to the outside line. Not much room to go side by side through there, let alone through these final couple of turns. It's all about the exit here, and King did not nail it.
Unfortunately, King just sort of ate a little bit there, coming into the final chicane there, did not get the run he needed, but he's still approaching Robert Crisdale. See if he can get a good run out of 3 and get a good run into the hairpin. He's really trying to get onto the back of Crisdale here. So this sort of run here for Henry King is going to be important. He's a little bit way back. We'll see if he can make it work. Slipstream here could be a bit of a factor. And he's not looking for an outside move just yet into the hairpin, but he might be wanting to set up a little bit later on. He's still got a little bit of time left before the checker flag drops. As we take a look back here at the front here, Thomas Hins now has caught up to Dylan Walker just over half a second. 7/10 of a second is the gap at the moment. Dylan Walker, Thomas Hins flying over the final corner, trying to cut down the time a little bit to Dylan Walker. This is going to be super, super close right here. Thomas Hins a little bit quicker than Dylan Walker on that last lap. He is absolutely pushing it in the 2014 car. Let's see if Dylan Walker can do anything to try and keep this up. The gap was a lot bigger than this on the second cycle of stops. So let's see if Hins can make it work here coming down into Adelaide.
Yeah, the balance of power has shifted once again back in the favor of the 2014 Falcon, chasing down the 2019 Commodore. Thomas Hins still holds the fastest lap of the race by about 0.2 of a second over his next closest competitor for that, Aaron Gilbert. Walker also has a fastest lap in the 39.5 second bracket. So there's still a bit of pace left to extract from this lead car. And I find it very interesting that Hins is really starting to, bring this pace back up, because he's been out there 3 laps longer than Walker has on this set of tyres. I would assume that Hinz would have worked the tyres a bit harder and he'd be a bit less pacey, but you got to remember, these are, despite them being very similar chassis, they drive very differently, these 2014 and 2019 cars. As Hinz was very deep there into the final couple of corners. Battle between 2 2014 cars. Henry King has caught up to Rob Crisdale, and this should be a very even matchup of tyres between these guys. That's the battle up high, and then down low, it's the chase for the lead in the hands of Thomas Hinz. Look at King here on the back of Crisdale. He's still trying to find his way past. It's been unsuccessful for the number 2 so far, but he'll have 5 laps to go when they cross the line next, and that's when the clock really starts ticking. That's when the pressure builds up, and you have to start making those moves. Vaulting over the curb at Chateau d'Eau as Hinzy pokes the nose out for the lead of the race. Up the inside at Adelaide, he's not close enough.
Oh, looks like Walker might have come. Where's,
Oh yeah, Walker went wide. Walker went over the curb. He lost traction. Hinzy's through.
Oh, that's going to hurt for Walker now. He just went way over wide there, but he's not giving this one up without a fight. He's straight onto the back of Thomas Hinz there, trying to get a bit of a slipstream to get back through. I was going to make your point earlier as well, just to echo your point there, Reese. The tyre difference between the two is 3 laps. So Walker theoretically should have better tyres, but Thomas Hinz, of course, as you know, these 2 cars are so different. You know, 2014 to 2019 spec. Look at Walker there. Oh, okay, so he's running way wide.
He lost the rear on the way in. On turn-in, the rear tyres broke free, so he was sent wide through the second part of the corner. Hinzy just cut under him.
Yeah, so that's just going to be Dylan Walker now is just going to be kicking himself there. He really wanted the overall win for the V8 support series, and Thomas Hinz now will take over that one there as he jumps over the curb there to start the next lap. We are 30 laps down, starting lap 31, and we're gonna just see if Thomas Hinz can hold on to this one. Already there's a bit of a gap to Dylan Walker, so it seems to just be now calming down now, and gonna just try and see if he can build a bit of a gap there and get away from Dylan Walker. Not too sure if Dylan might be able to try and have something for him at the end. As we look back at this battle here, this battle that's brewing here between 2 2014 cars, Holden Commodore and Ford Falcon. There's a very, very close gap, 0.2 of a second. Henry King still looking for a way past Crisdale. We'll see if he can get it done here through the final couple of corners. If he can get a good run out of here, might set up nicely for the hairpin back up at turn 5 at Adelaide. If he can get a good run through this next little sequence here.
Yeah, the problem, I think, for King is the transition off that final corner. Because you notice how Crisdale was a lot smoother. The car just went up and down. King actually bounced on the way out of the corner. So it's corner exits here that don't seem to be King's strong suit, at least towards the end of the lap. Maybe he'll have a chance here at Adelaide. Crisdale goes defensive, and King will get onto the racing line where there's more rubber. He's deep, but he manages to hold on to it. That's the corner where King was basically put into this position in the first place at the start of this race. He's alongside on the way into Imola. Crisdale will protect the inside over the curb. Can King cut back under him here at the hairpin? Not enough space to get it done. The right side tyres still very much loaded up when you get into the braking zone there.
Yeah, King almost had that one done. I was very worried about what was going to happen when they got into Imola. You don't want to go side by side through there. I think that's one section of track that if you go side by side through there, it's not going to end well. King is right back on the rear end of Crisdale here. He's still pushing. He wants this position back. I don't think he's going to give it up very easily. Here we go. Bit of a shallow run out of the corner.
Oh, look at that.
It's going to be a side-by-side run here down into the next little complex here. Billy Rowley and
Oh, Gray. Oh, King gets up the inside of Crisdale. Oh, it's still not enough. King, I can feel the frustration in the number 2 here. He's going to try and get it side by side, get the cut underneath on the exit, but he still can't get it done. Crisdale's going to run all the way to the pit wall just about. And they stay in that order, but I can sense a powder keg about to go boom between these two. This is what happened to Gray here. Looks like he was clearing a slowdown. Rowley got past him, and then Gray gets on the brakes for Chateau d'Eau. Is there contact? Oh, not quite at that point, but right about here is where it starts to get bad. Oh, okay.
Okay, now.
Yeah, I think Rowley might have been trying to recover the car there potentially, and Gray just went way too deep, and around he went. Yeah, a little bit of contact ballooning into something worse.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it was a bit of a biff and bodge there between those two. I don't think Rowley really appreciated the contact, or Dylan Gray really appreciated the contact there between the two, but unfortunately it has come to a bit of a downward spiral for Dylan Gray. Unfortunately, he's just not having the race. He's still fourth in class, so he's still pretty happy with those points there, but unfortunately would have loved to have been a bit further up. As we take a look back now at this battle here, Henry King is still looking. I think he might have just cut the corner there a little bit. That was pretty close there. He's still looking for a move past Robert Crisdale here, and Robert Crisdale is not giving up this one without a fight. We've got 2 laps to go, so that gives Henry King 2 laps to try and see if he can get up to 4th in class here and get that Jinx Shifters car up into 4th, which would mean it'll be Team Jinx Shifters 1st, 2nd, and 4th for the 2014 spec cars. Whoa!
Again, off the exit of the corner, both of them having some trouble there. Race control reviewing the incident between Rowley and Gray. So we'll see how that one turns out as Crisdale continues his defense here from Henry King. Once again, trying to gear up the exit of turn 3. Crisdale gets it into the gravel. That's going to give King a slight advantage on the exit, but it looks like he's too far back for a move at the hairpin. They need to be careful in these last couple of laps not to push too hard, because one tiny mistake can make all the difference this late in the race.
Yeah, it's certainly one. I think Henry King might have just backed off there. That's a big gap there now that he's got to Robert Crisdale. So I think he's now backed it off down. It's back to a 1.4 second gap now between the two. So I think Henry King, might have eaten up the best of those tyres. As we look forward here, back to the front here, Thomas Henn still leads Dylan Walker by just under a second with 2 to go. So I think Thomas Hens might have just done enough here. I'm not speaking too soon here, so don't call me on that one. But I think Hinsey might have done enough here to maybe claim this one here from Dylan Walker here. So good on them. There's no further action between the 89 and 52, so that's Billy Rowley.
Okay, well, a little bit of one, a little bit from the other. Seems that's race control's view of that one. So, coming over the curbs again, every single time you feel it viscerally there. Actually, that's Gray. That's Dylan Gray that I think has spun out of the final corner, and now he's going to be battling with Crisdale for 7th. Oh, cuts back underneath him through turns 1 and 2, and this battle has suddenly got a lot more spicy.
Yeah, that looks to have backed him up a little bit. Dylan Gray not wanting to give this one up, but it's just brought Henry King back into the fight. Henry King has a second lifeline here. Robert Crisdale will not be happy about this one. Here we go. Coming up into Adelaide. Robert Crisdale looking left, looking right. Or does he get it done? Can he get past Dylan Gray and not get backed up into Henry King here? Oh, this is going to be close. Henry King now looking for a move. This is the final lap has just been started now. Look at this. Oh, all over the curb here. Let's see what happened with Dylan Gray.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So up off the final curve, and has just lost it a little bit. Has managed to get it recovered now, and now he's pushed himself back into this battle here with Robert Crisdale and Henry King, and Henry King is looking for the move. So is Robert Crisdale. How do you call this one, Risa? How do you call it, please?
I don't know, honestly. I have no idea. This could go any way. The final lap has already begun for our leaders. They're already halfway around the last lap of this race, and it looks like the gap is extended between them. So we'll stay with this battle, the only battle on the circuit at the moment, as the white flag is out. and Chrisdale doesn't quite hit the curb at the final corner. He got a little bit squirrely, and he's already defensive here versus King. This is King's last chance to get the position, and they'll be hoping for another mistake from Dylan Gray so they can get a freebie here on the final lap. Only a few corners to go up the front for Thomas Hins. And, well, this was a masterful drive from the number 62. He came to Watkins Glen, won by a country mile, took a couple of rounds off, comes back here in France, and he's going to win again. Thomas Hins for Team Jinx Shifters will cross the line in first place, winning the 2014 class. Dylan Walker is your winner in the 2019 class. A fantastic fight between them to the end. Aaron Gilbert coming home in third overall, but still great haul of points, should keep the championship lead out of that. Now, let's take a look at how this one's going to work out. King searching for something, anything versus Chrisdale, and they're still super close to Dylan Gray. This is going to be a massive fight into these last few hairpins. It's a good run there from Chrisdale, but is it enough? Is it going to be enough? He's stuck behind Gray. King can't find a way through either. Dylan Gray's trying to make this the widest Ford Mustang in France, but it's going to work out for him. Maybe bit of contact on the way through Chateau d'Eau. Chad Lewis passing Peter Pavlovich there at the final sort of couple of turns there. I think Pavlovich might have had a connection problem, actually. He seems to have dropped. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but nothing works out in the favor of anybody here except Dylan Gray in this battle. They cross the line in that order. What a fight.
Oh, brilliant battling right there, and I'm not too sure who they would have gone to if they just had one more lap to play with. But that is it for this one, as you see the 216 of Peter Pavlovic coming around the final couple of corners, and we'll round it off for the 2019 cars. And now we look at Dan Stevens here as well, going to come up to the final couple of corners, and we'll take the checkered flag. I'm sure it's a round I think Dan Stevens would want to forget as well for him. He's had a couple of shockers this season, but that rounds off tonight's racing for round 2 of the V8 support series.
Yes, round 2, when it should really be round 6. But regardless, Thomas Hins winning by 2.1 seconds over Dylan Walker. Gilbert completes the overall podium. Brownlee finishes second in the 2019 class. So Chad Lewis completing that class podium. Billy Rowley, excellent race from him. He actually gets third in the 2014 class. That's a brilliant run from the KRF Motorsport number 89. In the 2014 cars, we see that Chrisdale and King rounded out our top 5. A great battle between them, only 3/10 separating them at the checkered flag. Matt Haywood, well, for very little practice, only getting the track a little bit before the race, that is a good performance. 6th ahead of Dan Stevens and Sean Slater, finishing a lap down. In the 2019 spec cars, Walker, Brownlee and Lewis are your podium 3 Holden ZB Commodores there, with Dylan Gray and Peter Pavlovich in the Mustangs getting 4th and 6th, split by Robbie Bradbury, who was involved in quite a bit over the course of this race as well. So that is going to bring to an end the racing action. Let's bring in a driver for a chat. Thomas Hins coming home with the overall victory here in the 2014 car. Longer pit stops for those older cars, Hinsey, but it seems the pace and the ease of driving on the throttle more than made up for that.
Yeah, thanks, Reese. No, obviously we had to take a bit more fuel in the stops, so the Gen 2s had that, and I think also because of obviously the way the track is, there's some higher speed corners where the Gen 2 actually having aero, which obviously Gen 1 has basically none. That sort of helps out as well. They're able to get a bit more pace there, and it's a bit more even from what I understand. So yeah, so it was good. No, really good fun. Just trying to remember how to drive the car, frankly, for the first sort of half the race, and then it sort of came to me there towards sort of in the back half. I sort of remembered how to drive, so that was handy. But no, it was really good fun, good battles, good battle with obviously teammate Fish and Lockhart and Dylan as well. So it was really good fun, and surprisingly fun combo. I saw the track. I decided it's a bit last minute as usual. And I saw the track and I was like, it's a weird combo, but yeah, it actually worked. It's actually not too bad, so it's kind of surprising too.
I've been a Magny-Cours evangelist for a very long time, and yeah, it's a great track for these cars. It's very technical, isn't it? Really tests your ability to control the throttle and carry speed through those corners. We saw quite a few drivers actually hitting the anti-cut curb and going airborne halfway around the lap. Did you have any trouble with that?
I don't think it was too bad. I only got the one slowdown at one point. That was just from being a little bit too greedy through one of the chicanes. But yeah, not too bad. I think the last the second or the last hairpin, second last hairpin, sorry, I was sort of hitting that one a little bit, and that was a bit not optimal. I think hitting the curb alone was enough, not hitting the anti-cut. But I was finding in the last chicane, funnily enough, if you hit the anti-cut at the right angle with the right amount of throttle, actually was quicker. So I was finding if I use that to sort of bounce off the right side, it seemed to actually be quicker for some reason. So yeah, I did it by accident on my laps, and I was like, oh, that actually worked really well. So I was trying to do that as much as I could. A bit hard to do it every lap, but I was trying to do as much as I could, and yeah, it actually seemed to work. So that was a bit surprising, but yeah, no, very fun track. And yeah, I'm probably the same. I've always, not necessarily hated this track, and probably not loved it, sort of in the middle, but not really raced it too much. To be fair, it's not really in many sims, obviously. So yeah, but no, these things were a surprise. I didn't think that these style cars would work, but no, it actually works really well, and as you say, really challenging trying to get the right amount of trail braking and obviously the throttle as well with a lot of those long corners. It's really patient with the throttle is sort of the key, I think.
Well, that's going to be another win on the books for you here in your, I'd say, part-time campaign in the V8 supports category, Hinsey. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just obviously all the guys at HJR, Brett and Fish with the setup work. They do all the work. I just, as usual, I just rock up and drive. So I'm really bad like that. I always feel bad for the guys. They do a lot more work than I do, and I just sort of rock up and lob. So big thanks to them for the setup and everything. Big thanks to Henry as well. With the livery, I believe he uploaded this time. I forgot to do that last round because it was so ad hoc. So Henry was on that. He got that sorted as usual. He's always on top of this stuff. So big thanks to him for getting that sorted. Love that classic Tony Longhurst everything. It's awesome. So glad I got to run it again. And obviously big thanks to Dan and the crew for running the usual great stuff in AOG and SCOPS. Always great fun. And big thanks to you guys for putting on a great show and letting everyone see the action.
And thank you very much for joining us. Thomas Hins, enjoy your victory.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
There goes Hinsey, celebratory sip. And we can move through to Dylan Walker. Brandon has caught up with our 2019 class winner.
Yeah, congratulations, Dylan. You got first in the 2019 cars, but I bet you were aching to get the first place overall, but not a bad race overall for you tonight.
Yeah, a bit cut up that I didn't get Hinsey at the end there. He drove an incredible race. Kudos to him. Yeah, I just think I overdrove it out of the pits on the last stint there, and once you overheat your tires in these things, they're pretty much gone for the rest of the stint. So yeah, unfortunate about that, but yeah, still very, very happy that I managed to get the class win.
Yeah, we were looking at the tire stints. I mean, your tires were 3 laps younger than Thomas Hinton, so I really thought you had that one. But what do you think of the combo? I mean, supercars around this track here at Magny-Cours. I mean, after 2 grueling street tracks with Sebring and Detroit, we heard from Thomas Hins what his thoughts were on this one. What are your thoughts on the whole combo with supercars and a old school Grand Prix track like this one?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, no, it was definitely a good combo, and it was very, very nice to shake it up after the last few rounds. But yeah, obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I went pretty well, so I'm going to say that it was good. But yeah, definitely enjoy the combo. I'm hoping for more of the Grand Prix style circuits. Seems to be a bit closer between the 2 generations of cars as well.
No, it certainly will be. I mean, hey, look, you did well. You have every right to say that it was a good combo. I mean, seriously, you went really well tonight. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go home for the night?
Yeah, all the team sponsors, so Sam Blacklock Media and Cozy Engineering Solutions, Hybrid Tune, Hybrid Racing Solutions, Demon Tweaks, and Fight Clerical Cancer and iLiveries. And a big shout out to the Orbit Drop Air guys and Chris at V-Race as well.
No, awesome stuff. Well, congratulations on the good result tonight. We'll hopefully you can keep up the momentum for the next one in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Well, that is going to bring things to an end for tonight here, Brandon. Another great round of V8SCOPS supports. We're going to be going racing again at the end of June, the 27th at 8:30 Australian Eastern. We're going to Road Atlanta for round 6. What a big jump from round 2. I'm looking forward to Road Atlanta. It's one of my favorite tracks on the schedule, and it always throws up a fun race. So, yeah, lock it in.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm looking forward to Road Atlanta as well. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, this whole season's the first time for me, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how a V8 can get thrown around Road Atlanta. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Will Hins return to defend his victory here at Magny-Cours, or will we see Aaron Gilbert run away with it once again? That is the big question, and it will be answered in a few weeks' time, a couple weeks' time rather. I'm Reese Gardner. Brandon stuck alongside me in the comms box with Jay Kennedy behind the scenes here on SimSpeed TV, whichever platform you've come from. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.